AITA for not saying anything to my son who told a teacher that she was dismissed.
My son Brandon graduated high school on Friday and me, his mom/my ex, our 2 other kids, my 5-year-old son Grant/Brandon's half-brother, and my wife all attended. Grant knew that it was a special day for Brandon and made his a card and bought him a big lollipop. Brandon's was seated in front of us and I told Grant to go give him his presents. He went over there and my son's class was just showering him with attention. The ceremony begun and Grant was just sitting on Brandon's lap. I thought about going over there, but if Grant was being trouble then Brandon would tell him to go back to us. They called my son's name and he walked the stage with Grant. It was a lot of fun for them.
After the ceremony, a teacher came to Brandon and told him he shouldn't have let his brother on the stage. It's a privilege for graduating seniors only. My son told her that she was dismissed and turned his back on her. He didn't really know her. I thought she was out of line so I laughed at her. She walked away. I got an email from the VP who told me that my son humiliated a staff and wasn't welcomed back on campus unless he apologized. He didn't see much of a problem with my son walking the stage with my other son, just his attitude. I said he's not apologizing, and what good is banning him from campus? He hated school. 1. If the teacher is the master of ceremony/event host/event organizer, then you are a 10/10 asshole. If the teacher is the authority over the graduating ceremony, then it's really her event, her rules. 2. Even if you/Brandon thinks that the teacher is being unreasonable, that doesn't make you right to be so incredibly rude about it. Have you thought about how if the teacher was truly malicious, she would have barred/stopped Brandon from walking up on stage with Grant while he was waiting in the queue? Instead, she was considerate enough to wait until after Brandon had completed his moment of limelight and then called him out privately with no consequences to his graduation. Your son has horrible manners and I can see where he learned this from. AITA.
AITA. Your older son is disrespectful and you're raising your younger son to be entitled. Imagine if every younger sibling had been allowed to sit on their brother or sister's lap and then walk across the stage. Chaos. There are rules and social guidelines for a reason. You and your spawn are not exempt from following them. Brandon's was seated in front of us and I told Grant to go give him his presents. Why couldn't this wait until after?
AITA, because your son was treating a teacher like she was his servant or something. Your kid needs to learn respect, and you're supposed to teach him that respect. AITA. Guess what? Rules do apply to you.
AITA. And I see where your son gets his disrespectful attitude from.
YTA. IDK probably too late to raise him better at this point though. And it doesn't really seem like you'd be equipped for that anyway. YTA. Your kids were wrong and so were you. Teaching your kids to disrespect rules and people who enforce them is not appropriate behavior. You should be ashamed of yourself for your kids' actions. Both of them. A 5-year-old should not be acting like that.
AITA. And you raised a son who's an asshole.
YTA. You and your kids sound entitled. I'm in my 30s and I have never once said to someone, "You're dismissed." Did your sons learn that from you? Snort. This story has more assholes than a proctologist's office. Definitely YTA. Your son is also an asshole, but his real problem was that he was raised by ethical voids. Plural. You are clearly the main problem. But his mothers are also assholes for not retrieving the stray preschooler and for procreating with someone like you. The VP is an asshole for puffing up his neck frill and trying to exert non-existent authority. The 5-year will almost certainly become an asshole, given that he's been taught no boundaries whatsoever and he's being raised by ferals. But he could still be influenced by decent people and turn out okay. The only non-asshole here was the teacher, who, by the way, knew you and your awful family were lost causes. She was probably speaking for the benefit of other families and students nearby who needed to know the behavior was atrocious. YTA who are raising disrespectful kids. Congratulations. Perhaps the teacher was out of line. But thinking it's okay for your kid to effectively say, F off to a teacher? Nah. If the teach came up and screamed or made a scene, maybe. But how is that appropriate?
AITA, and so is your disrespectful son.
YTA, imagine that audacity. No wonder you precious son is so entitled. YTA, that's a very disrespectful response on your son's end. Given that teacher should have told your son before he got on stage that he couldn't bring his brother with him. Her mistake, not his. Saying anything after wasn't going to do anything. But his response was still uncalled for. If I read this correctly, you have 2 other kids with your ex. If they're younger than Brandon, I'm guessing they either go to or will go to the same school. I wonder how you feel knowing Brandon will not be allowed on school grounds for their graduations. Was his witty retort worth it? I served on a school board. Knew a lot of great teachers. Also knew a few assholes. With tenure. With less maturity than the students. I sure hope you and Brandon didn't put a target on your other kids' backs. Oh, yeah, YTA. Because you and your kid reek of arrogance and entitlement. Good luck. I don't have all the info I'd like. But NTA. There are teachers I had very contentious relationships with in school, and I'd have done the same thing as your son. Just because someone is a teacher doesn't mean they automatically deserve respect. Respect is earned and not given, and if he reacted this way, I'd guess this was one of those teachers. Jesus. NTA. She was absolutely out of line. Everyone here is a boomer. You're dismissed, isn't that rude? And she should have minded her own business. YTA. And so is your son. Sorry to have to be the one to let you know. But neither you nor your son are above the rules. The rules are there to try and move a long process along and get the thing done with a minimum of chaos. Flaunting them, and then getting rude about doing it, isn't okay. YTA, your son is also.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.